lady was like, oh, it's very hot outside. I'm like, yes, very hot. She's like, oh, don't worry, typhoon tomorrow. Like, what? It's just gonna be like, oh, typhoon is normal? But apparently, quite common and quite the experience, she said.
It's absolutely pouring.
What? Jimmy, get sandwich is okay too. I want a pinky one.
They're gonna fall, right?
Pinky.
So you gotta get something that can like fall and bounce down. Alright, good afternoon guys.
So funny. Good afternoon, guys. It's a rainy day, but so lucky that it stopped like 10 minutes before this time.
So we were actually supposed to go on a day trip outside of the city, like quite far, and that didn't really work out because it was torrential downpour, and it would have been like $20 or $30 for both of us to get an hour away and back. So we decided we'll just save that for another day. But today we're doing a free walking tour.
Yeah, so we do the free walking tour today with Tourmeaway, and they have like bunch of like free walking tour. I think we sign up for all three.
Yeah, they have three. So
tour.
they're like 2 hours. So you can just, you know, join a group of people that are traveling, that are like-minded, and you get to have a local show you around and explain the history and explain things. And today I think we're doing what, Old Town?
Today we are doing the historic tour.
Okay. So it's right up Ta's alley because she loves history. So it's quite interesting. Yesterday when we came to this park, we weren't able to come up with any information on what this monument actually is because the whole board is in Chinese, so we couldn't read it at all.
Yeah.
But after coming on this tour, you know, this was the first stop on the tour, and it was really nice to understand what it actually means. This like monument actually symbolizes what happened was a lady was on the street selling tobacco, and when the Chinese government came over, they were basically monopolizing everything, and one of the main things they were monopolizing is the export of tobacco and tobacco products and the sale of them. So this lady was selling tobacco on the street, and the police came and they wanted all of her money that she had made that day, and she refused. When she refused, the police started beating her, and all the people and the locals were really, really upset about that. So they chased the police back to the police station. The police didn't give them any answers. They wanted answers. Why did you beat this woman? Why did you beat this woman? And they wouldn't give any answers. The following day, they had a huge group of people come out, and they were demanding answers. Well, the police responded with shooting into the crowd and firing and killing a bunch of people. So when that happened, basically the whole island turned into martial law because the Chinese government sent down, like the protest went Taiwan wide, like it went all the way from the north to the south. So in order to stop like the spread of the protest, the Chinese sent their government in, and they created the world's largest martial law for 48 years. And they weren't allowed to speak their own language, they weren't allowed out after dark, they weren't allowed to do basically anything. And then finally, like 48 years later, the government had their first elected president, and he finally came out and apologized for everything that had happened, and they developed this monument, the monument symbolizing bloodshed. The inside is the screams from the people because the water is very loud on the inside, and the outside has three tiers at the top, and it symbolizes the natives that were here before the Japanese, the Taiwanese that were here when it was under Japanese rule, and the Chinese that were here afterwards. So it's like unity. It is so unbelievably warm out though because it was raining so hard. It was nice and cool, but you know what comes after rain? Humidity.
Yeah, that's what they do. There's some
So this is the actual radio station that they announced the protest on in order to spread it from the north to the south, like throughout the whole country. But it seems that like all the people that were actually protesting, Todd just pointed out that they were mostly men, which that kind of makes sense. I mean, back then, a lot of women wouldn't be out protesting in physical form, and at least in the U.S. they wouldn't. I don't know about here.
I see one woman face though, which is like right here. This is the only woman face that I see.
So depending on where your feet hurt, you can also look at the chart and it tells you what's wrong with your body. It's very accurate, so you're welcome to try. So you take off your shoes and then you walk along it.
I don't have any problems. I'm problemless.
So just feel
I'm
free
perfect.
to take off your shoes.
Ow!
I think it should be dry now. What do you have problem with, Jim?
How about we try?
It's not try, honey. It's like determining.
Small intestine. I will go for small intestine.
How is it?
It's not bad, Jim. Imagine this is my feet, and in the middle, from the sign, from the billboard, it said that in the middle is the intestine problem. So that's why I kind of like press on my intestine right now. It's painful. Okay. I think it's pretty ticklish too at the same time. I don't know. I have a really rough feet. I think the point is that, oh man.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
It's not common for parks to be fenced, but that's because it's actually very close to the presidential office. So in order to prevent people from gathering and like forming protests and stuff, they used to block off this park. And because it was blocked off at night, it was a very good like secret meeting spot for LGBTQ people to come here and meet. And so Taiwan is the first Asian country to legalize gay marriage. They legalized it, I keep saying last week, but it happened in like May. It happened in May. Yeah, so that's a very cool thing that happens here.
I just actually come to find out that Taiwan is not only being under the colonized of China, but during some certain period of time, it was also under the colonization of Japan as well. Yeah. 45.
I have no idea. What's the name of this? What's this called?
It's called IU. It's like IU jelly, IU, like lemon IU.
So it's nice. We've been drinking like bubble tea all day, every day. So it's nice to get something a little bit different. It's lemon. Haven't tried it yet though.
Is it gelatin that?
Oh.
Do you feel the gelatin?
Tastes like lemonade.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
this
so
isn't gelatin. It's a type of plant that's very special. They like put it in water, it turns to jelly.
Alright. Wow.
God.
Is it good? Is it like
It's
sweet,
so
sour?
refreshing. Oh, it's so bad. You shouldn't try it. It's so bad.
No.
So I wanted to find somewhere else that I could get still.
It's like lemonade.
Not so good. Are you?
Yes.
I mean, if you like bubble tea, it's like bubble teas have like a dessert type deal, like very sweet. But this one is like the other end of bubble tea, because this one is kind of like you have something to chew on because of the gelatin that they put in here, and you have like a refreshing lime flavor in it.
See, like bubble tea can quench your thirst, but this is way more likely
This
to
is more
quench your thirst.
refreshing when it's
Yeah.
hot out. When it's hot out, it's much better.
I actually think I might like it better without the gelatin.
Everywhere. The market smell. The market smell like sesame. We realize that a lot of food here actually they put sesame, either sesame or nut. Like I smell two things: peanut and sesame in this market. If you look in the currency unit, it say NT. So that is like the new Taiwan dollar. So their currency is called new Taiwan dollar. The reason why they put the word new Taiwan dollar,
It's because there was an old Taiwanese
because
dollar.
there is an old Taiwan dollar. That's why they say new Taiwan dollar. After the war happened, there is a big economic situation happened in Taiwan, which is like the inflation rate is really high, and government at the time come up with the idea of fixing the inflation rate, and they make the new Taiwanese dollar. And new Taiwanese dollar for 40,000 equal to one old Taiwanese dollar.
So they've kind of taken us into this like basically old shopping district. This used to be the biggest shopping district in Taiwan because it's so close to the port, but because they've closed the port down, they've now moved like the major shopping areas near Taipei 101 and away from here. This is still a major shopping area, but it's mainly for the older generation that used to come here when it was super popular, and now since it's like kind of dying out, the only generation that really shops here are like older women, but it's still really packed with tons of clothes and a lot cheaper than anywhere else.
I see two for 150, which you can't find anywhere else. They have even like Taiwan beer, ice cream flavor, wasabi, curry.
Maybe you can have a seat, more inspiration.
Yeah.
Have a seat, more inspiration.
Sesame oil. Just like she just said that it smells like sesame oil everywhere you go, they have a sesame oil ice cream. Wasabi, curry, egg, jasmine tea ice cream, coffee, brandy, Taiwanese beer, ginger, pork floss.
Pork floss.
That's ice cream, pork floss?
Yes, that's for diabetic.
Ah.
Yes, the salty one original is for diabetic.
Ah.
Choose the things you like.
Hey, let's sit down. My back hurts.
Okay.
This. Yes.
All right. What's your favorite one?
Mango, but that's like basic, I guess.
Can I have the sticky rice? Or
It's winter.
so?
It's service in winter.
Ah.
Yes. The summer we do have too many fruits, so it's service in winter.
Ah, okay.
Yes. The sticky rice and the coffee, they are all in winter.
Okay.
Yes.
Can we have longan?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, that is longan?
Yes. 95. It's a change.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's good for memory.
Longan is good for me.
Give me 2 scoops.
I need 3.
Yeah, it was a really bad idea. Okay. I didn't realize until like halfway.
It's okay. I mean, it's not sweet. It doesn't really have much flavor.
They have the texture of longan in it too. This one is, I feel like it's natural taste of the longan, which is not too sweet at all. And are made of all natural ingredients. And we point out several times during our interviews, ice cream does not make people fat. Wow.
For it being such a horrible rainy day this morning, it has really turned around. So the only thing is when we were getting ice cream on our break in the middle of the tour, the lady was like, "Oh, it's very hot outside." I'm like, "Yes, very hot." She's like, "Oh, don't worry, typhoon tomorrow." Like, what? You're just gonna be like, "Oh, typhoon is normal?" But apparently quite common and quite the experience, she said.
I hope typhoon will not hit tomorrow though, because tomorrow we have a big plan, as we plan to explore more area in Taipei, and also at night we plan to also explore night market officially for the first time.
Like a
So
full
excited.
in-depth explore of the night market. We've been to the night market, but
Go ahead.
And then they also have lots of places like this. you see this giant building over here? That's a building full of like rooms of karaoke, like for karaoke. So people go there solely to karaoke. When typhoon hits, you get a day off and you go karaoke.
So the city actually used to be surrounded by a wall, and there was 5 gates, and the city became so big and expanded so much that they took down the wall and the gates, but it used to be completely confined in. So it's quite funny, this red house behind me, it used to be like a cultural theater for like Chinese events and stuff, and then they kind of switched it with the globalization to Western films and stuff.
And then they changed it again
Yeah, well then it stopped because people stopped coming, and then they changed it again
to
pornography. So they started playing pornography for the public here in this theater, and then that kind of died out, which I completely understand why. And now it's like,
why die out?
come on, who wants to go hang out with a bunch of friends and watch porn? Anyway, then they turned it into like a cultural building for everybody to be able to come and see history and art and things like that. So now it's not a porn shop anymore, now it's a souvenir shop. And you can buy different things for travel and different knickknacks for history and different homemade goods and such. It's quite nice because the air conditioning's on.
So this is the first walking tour, which is like free walking tour that we take actually since we have been traveling, and we actually have 2 more walking tours today. The theme is more like about history of Taipei in general, and we also not only in Taipei but we learn so much history about Taiwan as well. My personal opinion on the free walking tour is that it's really good because like loads of information, but the only drawback is that you might not have a chance to actually come inside to see things. Like for example, this red house, if you just rely on the walking tour, they just take you to in front of the actual place, and then you will have a chance to know history and things like that, but you have to go inside later by yourself.
I think that this is like definitely something that you should do, especially if you're a traveler, like a solo traveler, or you're on a budget. It's great. It's kind of like donation. They do ask for a donation at the end. She says don't feel obligated to give one, but she says it does help the company and help keep her going. So if you're a solo traveler, great, because you get to meet other people that are traveling. It's very inexpensive because it's free, and you get loads of information. So there's this company alone has 3 free walking tours. It's something to keep in mind if you're looking to do something that's a little more inexpensive and a little more historical, like Todd loves.
He bounced it? He made
got it in! I don't know what I got.
I don't know.